Good morning, my name is Rick Passek, the FlyFish Fanatic, and welcome to my tying bench. Today we'll be tying a fairly simple pattern. It's a pattern that has worked for me for many, many years in the backwater sloughs of the lower mainland of Vancouver for Coho Salmon, and tied in a smaller size, around 10-12. Phenomenal on the beaches for cutthroat trout. So I've caught some rainbow trout in lakes as well on a smaller size, but in a different color scheme than this. Today we're going to be tying a Chartreuse green one. This is a take on a fly that Todd Oshie came up with many years ago, and I put my own little spin to it. And I've been tying these for many, many years now, and like I said, they're absolutely phenomenal. So let's switch you guys over so you guys can see. That is what we're going to be tying today. I used to call it my green machine, but I mean, I don't know what you want to call it, but it is a phenomenal pattern. So when I tie it in something like this, this is the one I'll be tying today. I tie it in a all green. So this is got the green underbody instead of the white or the UV. And then I also tie it with a red. Oh, let's see if I can actually put that in the vise so it's a little clearer for you. I tie it with a red underbody. And all three of them work really well. My favorite by far is the one I'll be tying for you guys today. So, alrighty, so let's get my hook into the vise for you guys. By far my favorite hook for this is, I'll get that straight, is the O'Shawnghessy. I love the Mustad O'Shawnghessy, the all-round. Now this is a size 6. It's a little bigger than I normally would tie. I usually tie these in an 8. I do tie some in a 6 just in case they are feeling like a larger pattern, but normally I tie it in an 8, but I don't have any more O'Shaughnessy's in an 8. So the bead is a 3/16 silver bead. You can go tungsten if you want. Find that where I always fish these things, they don't. I don't really need tungsten. So for the tail, I'll be using some green marabou. For the body, I'll be using some UV ice dub calabatus. It's kind of a white with that blue UV dub in it. And then for the hackle, if you want to call it that, the Palmer Chenille. This Palmer Chenille is some of my favorite material. I use it in a lot of patterns. So. Especially a lot of ocean patterns. Now, for the tail, I used to, and I still do, but I ran out again. I'm running out of all kinds of stuff lately. I use rabbit strip. So I take a rabbit strip and I'll cut the rabbit, like the hairs right off of the leather, and I'll just do that because I only want to, like usually I'll make a tail that's only about that big, like really small. Right, so, but with this marabou, it works as well, but I prefer with the rabbit. So I'm just gonna prepare my marabou over off camera here, and I'm gonna take my white Semperfli Nanosilk, and I'm gonna start my Nanosilk here. Cut off the thread and give it just a bit of a wax. This Nanosilk is phenomenally strong, but it's also very slippery. So you want to get a good grip, right? So all the way back up to the front, a little bit more wax. Gonna grab my marabou that I prepared, and I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna pull out the underfur. Okay, all this underfur here. You try not to build up your body too much, right? So just pulling all this underfur out. Then I'll wet my fingers and just slick this a bit just to make sure I get them all lined up again. And I could even just cut it just to sharpen up that edge again for a tie-in point. But yeah. Okay. Then don't worry too much about what the front looks like here because it's all going to get covered. So, but just tie that in to roughly where the barb is. Then, as always with marabou or any tails like this, under, over, at least twice. Okay. So now, like I said, this is way too long for me. I want to cut it about there. So I'll never cut marabou. Rip it. just rip it off with your fingers, okay? That gives that nice uneven look, and it'll flow better. It'll look more natural. You don't see anything in the wild that's straight cut, right? So, okay, if you want, you can go back up and just tie all this stuff down that's sticking up, but it's not necessary. So, take your polymer chenille. You see how it's got that center core there? I'll take my scissors and I'll cut off the little fibers away and expose that center core a bit. You see how I got just a little exposed point there? Hold my fibers back. And again, you don't really need to do that. It's all going to be hidden. So just make sure you got that tied in nicely. Okay, a little bit more wax on my thread. Take my UV ice dub. Spread that out a bit. I only want a thin little body. I don't want too thick of a body on this. I just want that ice dub to show through, right? So, and that way because I'm going to pull it out a little bit at the end with a dubbing brush, but not a lot, right? So I just wanted the odd little fiber coming forward, coming out. So yeah, I get in right behind there. Yeah, that's good. So now I'm going to take one full and two right up against that last one, full wraps. And then I'm going to open it up like I am palmering. Now you want to make sure that these fibers, you see that one wanted to twist on me, that these fibers always go backwards. You always want them to go backwards. So you just gotta, sometimes you have to just give them a helping hand. And you want to leave a mil to 2 mil. Oh, sorry, I bumped the camera there. I'll get that back in. You want a mil to 2 mil in between each wrap. And then when you get to the front here, right behind the bead, 1, pull back, at least 2, I like 3. Right behind the bead, and pull that right tight in there. Then lock it down, 3 behind, pull it back, 3 in front. Your scissors, cut off your polymer chenille. Take your whip finishing tool. Hold all your materials back. Now, quite often I'll do a little bit of a hot spot on here. I'll put a little bit of a fluorescent red or a fluorescent orange hot spot right here behind the bead, similar to what I did with that, right? But just a little one, not very big. I don't know if it makes much of a difference, but I just like having both in my arsenal, right? So then I take my dubbing brush and I'm just gonna pull out a bit of that underbody, right? Like I said, I don't want a ton of that coming out, but I do want some of that UV property of that dubbing to pop out. So there is my finished fly. Now I will take, where did I put it? Oh, my head cement. And no, I can't. That one's not working, so I'll use this one. Sometimes I get that one there. Sees it hardens up on me on the threads sometimes. So, like I said, just a drop or two right in there, and let that soak in. Yeah, there you go. Right, and that'll help hold those fibers back too. Don't get all worried if your fibers go forward. Let's see, I think I got one here. Yeah, this one here as an example. See how the forward fibers are kind of flung forward up here? Don't worry about it. As soon as it hits the water, these start pulsating back. It's almost like a woolly bugger, but with different materials. So my twist on that, if you guys don't know Todd Oshie's version, is that underbody, underbody dubbing, that UV properties. I really like that extra little bit of flash and a little bit of UV that it gives you. So I fish this on it depends on the water I'm fishing, but I'll fish this on a floating line in the shallower waters, and then anything up to about 10-12 feet deep, I'll use an intermediate sink or an intermediate sink tip, because I don't want to go too deep with this. The coho will chase these, and the cutties absolutely just will crush these if they're smaller. They got to be quite a bit smaller. So like I said, this is a size 6. I usually tie these in a 6 and an 8 for coho, and in a 10-12 for cutties. So alrighty, and then obviously you change your bead size. But again, I tie it on the same hook. I love these O'Shawnghessy hooks for these flies. So yeah, give that one a try. Give it a thumbs up if you like that video, and subscribe to my page so you don't miss any other videos. Hit that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next time video. Tight lines, everyone.